Two girls vanished after posting this final photo. Hours later, police discovered something in the woods that would haunt an entire town for years.
Guys.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm here.
On February 13, 2017, two best friends set out for a walk across an abandoned railroad bridge in the small town of Delphi, Indiana. 14-year-old Liberty German and 13-year-old Abigail Williams had the day off school and planned to spend the afternoon hiking the trails near the Monon High Bridge, a rusting structure towering high above Deer Creek. At around 1:35 p.m., Libby's older sister, Kelsey German, dropped the girls off near the trail entrance. It was supposed to be a normal afternoon. A few hours outside. Photos. Laughing. Time together before heading home. But sometime during their walk, the girls realized someone was following them. Using her cell phone, Libby secretly began recording.
There's no path going there, so we have to go down here. Hi.
In the video, a man can be seen walking toward them across the bridge, hands in his pockets, head lowered beneath a cap, calm, silent. Moments later, a voice was captured. "Guys, down the hill."
Guys.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm here.
Those 4 words would become one of the most chilling pieces of evidence in modern true crime history. But at the time, nobody knew what had happened to the girls. Later that afternoon, Libby's father arrived near the trail to pick them up. The meeting spot had already been arranged earlier in the day. But when he got there, Abigail and Liberty were nowhere to be seen. At first, it didn't seem unusual. The trails stretched through wooded areas surrounding Deer Creek, and family members believed the girls may have lost track of time or moved farther along the path. Calls were made to their phones. No answer. As the afternoon slowly turned to evening, concern began turning into panic. Family members started searching the trails themselves, walking through the woods and calling out the girls' names as temperatures began to drop. Friends, volunteers, and local residents soon joined the search near the Monon High Bridge. Police were eventually contacted, and officers arrived to help search the area surrounding the creek and nearby trails. But darkness was closing in fast. Despite hours of searching, there was still no sign of Abigail or Liberty. By that night, the small town of Delphi was on edge. 2 teenage girls had vanished without a trace. As night fell over Delphi, temperatures continued to drop across the wooded trails surrounding Deer Creek. Search teams spent hours combing through the area near the Monon High Bridge, calling out the girls' names and searching with flashlights through the darkness. But despite the growing number of volunteers and officers, there was still no sign of Abigail Williams or Liberty German. Eventually, authorities made the decision to suspend the official search until the following morning. Investigators believed the girls were likely somewhere nearby, lost, injured, possibly waiting for help in the dark woods surrounding the creek. Family members refused to give up hope. Throughout the night, friends, relatives, and volunteers continued searching areas around the trails, desperate to find the girls alive. Then, on the morning of February 14, 2017, the search resumed. Hundreds of volunteers returned to the area near Deer Creek alongside law enforcement officers, spreading out across the wooded terrain surrounding the bridge. At approximately 12:15 p.m., the search came to a devastating end. The bodies of Abigail Williams and Liberty German were discovered on private property near Deer Creek, less than a mile from the Monon High Bridge where they had last been seen alive. Almost immediately, the area surrounding the creek was sealed off as a major crime scene. What had begun as a missing persons search had now become a double homicide investigation. Indiana State Police, local law enforcement, and FBI agents soon arrived in Delphi as investigators began searching for evidence near the scene. But very early into the investigation, detectives realized they had something extremely unusual. Evidence captured by one of the victims herself. At some point during the girls' final moments on the bridge, Liberty German had secretly recorded video on her cell phone. In the footage, a man could be seen walking toward the girls across the abandoned railroad bridge. The image was distant and blurry, but investigators believed the man seen in the video was responsible for the murders. Then came the audio. A short recording of a man's voice speaking directly toward the girls.
Guys.
Hi.
Yeah.
The chilling footage and audio would soon be released to the public, triggering one of the largest manhunts in Indiana history. Across the country, millions of people became fixated on the same haunting question. Who was the man on the bridge? In the days following the murders, investigators worked around the clock searching for clues that could identify the man captured on Libby's cell phone. Police released a grainy image taken from the video, showing a man walking across the Monon High Bridge wearing blue jeans, a dark jacket, and a cap pulled low over his face. Investigators believed he had approached the girls shortly before they were killed. Soon, the image spread across television broadcasts, newspapers, and social media across the United States. The unidentified suspect quickly became known nationwide as Bridge Guy. As public attention exploded, thousands of tips flooded into Delphi police and the FBI. People studied every detail of the recording: the way the man walked, the shape of his jacket, the sound of his voice. Investigators urged the public to listen carefully to the audio recording released from Libby's phone.
Guys.
Hi.
Yeah.
Police believed somebody, somewhere, would recognize the voice. But despite the massive media attention surrounding the case, days turned into weeks with no arrest. The small town of Delphi remained gripped by fear as investigators searched for a killer who had somehow vanished without a trace. As the investigation continued, detectives began retracing the girls' final movements on the afternoon of February 13th. Witnesses who had been near the trails that day were interviewed, and investigators worked to build a timeline of everyone who had visited the Monon High Bridge area. Police believed the killer had likely been familiar with the trails and the isolated terrain surrounding Deer Creek. But despite hundreds of interviews and thousands of tips, investigators struggled to identify the man seen in Libby's video. Then, in July of 2017, Indiana State Police released a sketch of the suspect based on witness descriptions gathered during the investigation. The sketch showed an older-looking man wearing a cap, with a goatee and heavy features. For years, the image became one of the most recognizable suspect sketches in America. Billboards appeared across the country. Tip lines remained open day and night. Investigators repeatedly insisted the killer's identity could be just one phone call away. But still, no arrest came. As months turned into years, frustration and fear continued growing inside the Delphi community. Many residents began locking their doors for the first time in years. Parents feared letting their children walk the trails alone, and hanging over the entire investigation was the same haunting reality. The killer's voice had been recorded. His image had been captured on video. Yet somehow, nobody could identify him. Then, in April of 2019, more than 2 years after the murders, investigators made a shocking announcement. During a highly anticipated press conference, Indiana State Police revealed a completely new direction in the case. A second suspect sketch was released to the public. This time, the image looked dramatically different from the first. The new sketch showed a much younger man with a thinner face and curly hair. Investigators also released additional footage taken from Libby's cell phone, along with a slightly longer portion of the audio recording.
Guys.
Hi.
Yeah.
Police stated they now believed the killer may have been hiding in plain sight. During the press conference, Superintendent Doug Carter spoke directly to the unidentified suspect in an emotional address that quickly spread across the country.
Directly to the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you, and you want to know what we know, and one day you will. A question to you. What will those closest to you think of when they find out that you brutally murdered 2 little girls? 2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing.
He told the killer that investigators believed he was either in the room or watching nearby. For many people following the case, the announcement raised even more questions. Why had the suspect sketch changed so drastically? Had investigators been searching for the wrong man for years? And if police had video, audio, and witness descriptions, how was the killer still unidentified? Despite renewed media attention and another flood of public tips, the case once again went quiet. Years passed without an arrest. For the families of Abigail Williams and Libby German, the wait for answers continued. Then, in October of 2022, nearly 5.5 years after the murders, investigators made a breakthrough. Police arrested a 50-year-old Delphi resident named Richard Allen. Allen worked at a local CVS pharmacy in Delphi, less than 5 miles from the Monon High Bridge trail system. For years, he had lived quietly inside the same small community shaken by the murders. The announcement stunned the town. Many people could not believe a suspect had allegedly been living in Delphi the entire time. On October 31, 2022, Richard Allen was formally charged with 2 counts of murder in the deaths of Abigail Williams and Libby German. At first, investigators released very little information about the evidence leading to his arrest, but court documents later revealed that Allen had allegedly admitted to being on the trails the same day the girls disappeared. Investigators also claimed a bullet found near the crime scene had been linked to a firearm owned by Allen through forensic analysis. According to prosecutors, witnesses had also described seeing a man matching Allen's appearance near the Monon High Bridge on the afternoon of the murders. As details slowly emerged, public interest in the case exploded once again. After years of uncertainty, many believed the mystery of the Delphi murders had finally been solved, but the case was far from over. As Richard Allen awaited trial, new details surrounding the investigation began emerging through court filings, hearings, and leaked documents. Allen's defense team argued that investigators had focused too heavily on him while ignoring other possible suspects connected to the case. The defense also challenged the forensic evidence presented by prosecutors, particularly the claim involving the unspent bullet allegedly linked to Allen's firearm. Meanwhile, prosecutors maintained they had strong evidence placing Allen near the scene during the murders. The case quickly became surrounded by intense public debate online. True crime communities analyzed every court document, every witness statement, and every piece of evidence released to the public. Rumors and theories spread rapidly across social media as people tried to understand how one of the most heavily investigated murder cases in America had remained unsolved for so many years. At the center of it all were the families of Abigail Williams and Libby German, who had spent years waiting for answers and justice. For Delphi, the murders had never truly faded from memory. The abandoned bridge, the recording on Libby's cell phone, and the haunting words captured moments before the girls disappeared.
See, this is the...
Guys.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm here.
Even years later, the case continued to leave a shadow over the small Indiana town where 2 friends went for a walk and never came home. At first, investigators released very little information about the evidence leading to his arrest, but court documents later revealed that Allen had allegedly admitted to being on the trails the same day the girls disappeared. Investigators also claimed a bullet found near the crime scene had been linked to a firearm owned by Allen through forensic analysis. According to prosecutors, witnesses had also described seeing a man matching Allen's appearance near the Monon High Bridge on the afternoon of the murders. Prosecutors later revealed that while being held in prison awaiting trial, Richard Allen allegedly made multiple incriminating statements during recorded phone calls and conversations. According to court filings, Allen reportedly confessed to the murders to his wife, his mother, and prison staff on several occasions.
I need to tell you something anyway.
Okay. Are you sure you want to talk to me over the phone?
I think I have to.
Okay.
I need you to know that I did this.
What? No. No, you didn't, dear. There's no way. There's no way, dear.
Love me.
The defense argued that Allen's mental state had severely deteriorated while in custody, claiming the statements could not be trusted. But prosecutors believed the confessions further strengthened the case against him. As details slowly emerged, public interest in the case exploded once again. As the case moved closer toward trial, the Delphi murders remained one of the most intensely followed true crime investigations in America. For years, millions of people had studied the grainy bridge footage, listened repeatedly to the audio recording, and wondered how the killer could remain unidentified for so long. The case had transformed the small town of Delphi forever. What was once a quiet hiking trail had become permanently linked to one of the country's most haunting unsolved murder cases. Flowers, photographs, and memorials continued appearing near the Monon High Bridge as visitors traveled from across the country to see the place where Abigail Williams and Liberty German were last seen alive. Then, on November 11, 2024, after years of investigations, public speculation, and one of the most closely watched murder trials in America, Richard Allen was found guilty on all counts in the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Just over a month later, on December 20, 2024, Allen returned to court for sentencing. Inside the courtroom, family members of Abby and Libby spoke about the devastation the murders had caused and the years of pain they had endured waiting for justice. Judge Francis Gull ultimately sentenced Richard Allen to 130 years in prison. Allen received 65 years for the murder of Abigail Williams and another 65 years for the murder of Liberty German, with the sentences ordered to run consecutively. Even after the conviction and sentencing, debate surrounding the case continued online, with Allen's defense team maintaining his innocence and continuing efforts to appeal the verdict. But for many people, the sentencing marked the end of a nightmare that had haunted Delphi for nearly 8 years. For the families, the case was never about internet theories, viral headlines, or courtroom speculation. It was about 2 young girls who should have made it home that afternoon. A simple day off school, a walk across a bridge, a few photographs with friends, and then silence. Even years later, the image of the man walking across the bridge continues to haunt millions of people who followed the case. A blurry figure moving slowly toward 2 young girls, captured only moments before they disappeared forever. And hidden inside Liberty German's cell phone recording were the words that would echo across the country for years to come.
Guys.
Hi.
Yeah.
The murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German remain one of the most chilling cases in modern American history. And for many, the bridge in Delphi will forever stand as a reminder of the afternoon 2 best friends never came home. To the families and friends of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, we extend our deepest condolences. No amount of time can erase the pain left behind by a tragedy like this, and our thoughts remain with everyone whose lives were forever changed by what happened in Delphi, Indiana. Thank you for listening to this documentary from Dark Crimes. If you would like to support the channel and help us continue covering true crime cases and investigations, please consider subscribing. And as always, stay safe.